Well, for more, we're joined by Gregg Carlstrom in Tel Aviv. Hi, Greg. So how likely is it looking that he will get the 3 to 5 years in prison that the prosecution is asking for?
It's very likely. You heard James mention manslaughter could carry up to 20 years, legally speaking, but we've heard both the prosecution and the defense calling for a lighter sentence. The prosecutors say 3 to 5 years would be fine, preferably on the lower end of that. One military lawyer I spoke to said they feel like they've made their point by getting the conviction and they don't want to push for a tough sentence. And of course, the defense is pushing for a relatively short sentence as well. So I would be surprised if the judges gave something considerably longer than that 3 to 5 year spectrum.
And then also mentioned was the possibility of a presidential pardon. How likely is that looking if he's even sentenced to the minimum?
Well, there'll be a lot of political pressure. What's going to happen is after this sentence is issued today, he has to decide whether or not to file an appeal. If he does that within the next 30 days, then he's not eligible for a pardon until the appeals process is done. That could take months or years. And so the thinking is if it's a relatively short sentence, he probably will not file an appeal and instead apply for a pardon from the president. Again, as James said, you've heard a majority of Israelis support pardoning him. Prime Minister Netanyahu supports a pardon. Much of his right-wing government supports it, but also some politicians on the center left, all of them arguing, in effect, this was a soldier who was convicted for something that he did on the battlefield, in their words. So there's going to be a lot of political pressure on Reuven Rivlin, the Israeli president, who ultimately has to make a decision. But he has really refused to come down one way or the other on this case. And in fact, he said some things that can be interpreted as being sympathetic to the Army's position. The Army, of course, which saw this as an important litmus test for military ethics and the rules of engagement and pushed very strongly for a conviction.
And for many Palestinians, of course, the sentence is just too light. So is there a danger in the perception that Israeli soldiers can simply act with impunity?
Well, it is too light. The family of this Palestinian who was killed has asked for a life sentence, which isn't even possible under the law. They see 3 to 5 years as being insultingly short. Having said that, though, I think there already is that perception that Israeli soldiers have impunity. I think most Palestinians, certainly the ones I've spoken to, have said that this case would never have gone to trial had it not been caught on video. There have been other incidents over the past few years of Palestinians killed in similar circumstances by Israeli soldiers, but not caught on film, and so nobody is prosecuted, nobody is sent to jail. And I think regardless of what happens in this case, even if he would receive the maximum sentence possible, most Palestinians would continue to believe that Israeli soldiers have impunity.
Okay, Gregg Carlstrom joining us there from Tel Aviv. Thanks for that, as always.